davening, La'asid Levi, will focus primarily on whether or not there'll be obligation to daven when Moshiach comes, and what exactly it would be. I just want to point out that I realized I was doing the sources. All of a sudden I realized that there's a piece of the Torah that discusses it in the very beginning of this week's parsha. There's a piece of the Torah that discusses, that explains this idea. So anyways, the question arises from, first of all, what's the reason why davening was established? So let's see in source number 1, it's the Gmorah Moshe Brachas Daf Chavav Amid Beis. Itmar Rabbi Yosi ben Rabbi Chanina Omar. Rabbi Yosi, the son of Rabbi Chanina, said, Tfilos Avos Tiknon. The Tfilos, all the different davening, were established by the Avos, were established by our forefathers Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Rabbi Shiur ben Levi Omar, Tfilos Keneged Temidim Tiknom. That the prayers, the davening, Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv, were established corresponding to the carbon tamid. The carbon tamid is a sacrifice that was brought in the Beis Hamikdash every single day, 2 times a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. We'll be mentioning it a lot, so I want to explain what carbon tamid means. Now, so you have 2 reasons. Either because of Tfilas Keneged, the Avos were established by the Avos, or Keneged Temidim. Now let's see first the source number 2 and 3 in the later Poskim, how we accept. The Rambam in Hilchos Tfilah Perek Aleph Halacha He, V'chein tiknu sheyaheit minyan hatfilos keminyan hakabonis. And they also established that the amount of prayers, the amount of davening should be the same amount as the kabbanis. State fitness b'chol yom. 2 prayers, 2 davening. In other words, 2 main davenings every day. Kineged shnei temidim, corresponding to the 2 carbon tamids. V'chol yom sheyesh carbon musaf. Thank you. V'chol yom sheyesh carbon musaf, and every day that has a carbon muknis, carbon musaf, tiknu by tefillah shlushis keneged carbon musaf. Meaning like this, in Shabbos and Yom Tov, in addition to the study, to the carbon tamid, to the study carbonis of the morning and the afternoon, there was a 3rd carbon known as a carbon musaf, which came special on each Shabbos and Yom Tov. So on days that they brought a carbon musaf, they would bring a 3rd. We added it also in that. The tefillah shekeneged tamid shel boker, and the davening that is corresponding to the morning davening, Hinekras Tfilas Shachar, is called Tfilas Shachar. The Tfilah Shekeneged Tam Sheben Abayim, Hinekras Tfilas Mincha. The Tfilah Shekeneged Musafin, Hinekras Tfilas HaMusafin. Then the additional prayer is called Tfilah of Musaf. Now there's a reason why we'll see later, we'll get back to different expressions of the Rambam. But in general, we see the idea that the Rambam paskins also that the tefillah, the davening was established keneged tamid. Now let's see the Alter Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch also, source number 3. The tefillah he b'makom carbon. The tefillah is in the place of a carbon. Then the Alter Rebbe goes on to explain that's why you have to treat it with respect. Another interesting halacha that the Alter Rebbe mentions here, that because it's such a special thing, really you should have a special nice garment for davening. But we do not obligate people to spend so much money in it. It's just an interesting thing. But regarding our main point, is we paskin that tefillah, the keneged karbonis, the tefillah was established for the carbon. So now, here comes our question. If the tefillah, seemingly, what means b'makom karbonis? What means keneged temidim? What would be the simple understanding? It's like this. We have obligation, one of the Tayag mitzvahs, or actually 2 or 3 of the Tayag mitzvahs, is to bring a offering, a carbon tamid. Tamid shal shachar, but tamid shal ben abayim, to bring an offering. When we have a Beis Hamikdash, then we bring the carbon. In the time of Galus, if we don't have a Beis Hamikdash, then we replace it with davening. That would be the simple understanding of this. So if that's the case, it comes the obvious question, what will be when Moshiach comes? When Moshiach comes, which should be soon, you have a very simple. In one hand, you could argue. Now we're bringing the carbon musaf, the carbon tamid, and the carbon musaf. There's no need to replace it with davening, being that we have the carbon itself. We don't need to have the replacement of davening. On the other hand, if you say that Tfilah is Avos Tiknum, that Tfilah was established by the Avos, so seemingly it's not connected to Karbanis at all, so that's the case, then we should bring the carbon, then we should daven even when Moshiach comes. So now really, this same question is not the first time it's relevant when Moshiach comes. This very question is in the times of the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash, whether or not they daven them. So based on that, you go back to the sources, we could figure out whether or not we will daven when Moshiach comes. Before we continue to get into this, I just want to point out a very simple question. If you open up a siddur, you see, let's say so let me ask a question. Let's say when Moshiach comes, we will daven, right? Let's say when the time of Beis HaMikdash they daven. Shemini Esrei, the first three brachas is praise of Hashem, Atachone, Hashivenu, fine. Then the many brachas, the bracha of the Einov and Yenu, Ugaleinu Mehela Manshemech, and redeem us, bring the Geula very soon. You conclude Gadol Yisrael. Another bracha is Tekah b'Shofar Gadol. You should sound the big shofar again. We're asking Hashem to bring Mashiach. Ala Tzadikim. Lamal Shinim is also very much connected to Moshiach and Malchus Rishon Meir Sa'akir, to have the kingdom of Hashem. Shiv Shiftein was also connected. So that's already, maybe you could give a different explanation. But the point being, most of the brachas in Shemini Esrei, at least the ones that are request, more than the basic majority, Ruba called in Lashon Kodesh Ruba, the Ruba of the brachas are talking about Mashiach. So how could you say these brachas won't make any sense when Mashiach comes? We're in Yerushalayim with Mashiach. We have Mashiach. So on this source, turn to your second page. This is brought in the top of the page from a Sefer Rimois Mashiach Balacha by Rabbi Galitsky. So he brings a few different things in this. So Hine Yedua Madiisa b'Medrash Yalka Shemoni. It's known what it says in the Medrash. Call it Tfilas b'Teilah. All the prayers will be nullified, but Haida, the praise will not be nullified. Meaning like this, Shemini Esrei consists of total of 19 brachas. You have 3 brachas in the beginning of the praise of Hashem, 3 brachas in the end, also the praise of Hashem. So you're left with 13 brachas of Bakashas Rachel, asking requests. So we're saying the brachas of praise will continue. So it's explained, it explains, when there will be a abundance of good, all the blessings will be there in abundance. So Tfilah Shemini Esrei lo yiyeh b'derech Bakashas Rachel, ela b'derech Haida. The brachas will not be in a way of asking request. It will be in a praise. Let's skip to the next column where you see again it's underlined. Shinui benusach shalahem b'zman hagol v'tchiyah. Kimoi ushvoid oil hagoyim, as it says, you should break the yoke of the nations from upon us. Naima will replace it. We will praise you on the fact that you broke the yoke of the goyim. And you will lead us and you led us to our land. And similarly, we praise to you, Hashem. Everything will be in a past tense in a way of brachas. Meaning, instead of saying all these brachas that for years and years we're saying now as a bakash, as a request to Hashem to bring Mashiach, we'll finally say we thank you Hashem for replacing us with Mashiach. And it goes on to explain without getting into it. He brings proofs that also in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, which again is questionable of the daven, but we'll get to the conclusion later. Also was also in a way of then it was to continue on the strength of Yerushalayim, to continue on the strength of the Jewish kingdom, and so on and so forth. That it was then it was a little bit different, less of thanks, more of just please Hashem, keep it going. So you see, so that just explains how it's relevant. The davening, obviously, it has to be a little bit different. So back to our original question. Just a side point. You see in Shemona Esrei, you see when the Baruch is about Moshiach. If anyone ever asks why we're so obsessed with Moshiach, why you could answer back. Why do you have Piddush in mind when you daven? You have in mind every day it has 3/4 of davening is about Moshiach. Now, so there's an interesting question in Chidah, which he discusses mainly in the Zman Beis Hamikdash. In Chidah, in the Sefer Machzor Bracha, he has one of this Chidah is a set of Sfarim. Every Sefer and every topic is a different name of the Sefer, but it's really one. So it's a Sefer called Machzor Bracha. So he asks the question, he brings a question that we have here in source number 4. I couldn't find the text of the Machzor Bracha, so he brings it from the Noda B'Yehuda. The Noda B'Yehuda asks the question, Vashin Badak Lon Malosei Lama Psuke HaMusafin Kov B'Tfilas HaMusaf. Why, when it comes to Shabbos Musaf, all of a sudden, a big part of the Musaf, and this is not only Shabbos Musaf, any Musaf, Yom Tov Musaf also, is the Psukim of Karbonos. But the parashas of Tamid, which is every single day, we don't say not on weekday, not on Shabbos either. We don't say the psukim of the karbonos, the parashas Tamid. Why by Karban Musaf, especially if we're saying that tefillas connected to Midin Tiknum, that tefillas are established to correspond because of the karbonos. So why don't we say the psukim of the karbonos?
Say it in karbonos.
We say it in karbonos, but first of all, karbonos is not the same level of chiyuv. Also, Shemona Esrei. Why? If the whole musaf, if you think about it, the musaf basically the main part of the additional musaf is consists of the psukim. You look in Yom Tov musaf, every day is a little different. So he proves from this a very strong point, which is very relevant to our question. He proves from this that the main part of davening, the main reason for davening, is because there's a mitzvah in the Torah. According to some Rishonim, it's minat Torah. According to some Rishonim, it's the Rabbanon. But the concept is va'avadtem es havaya lekeichem, to serve Hashem. How do we serve Hashem? How do you serve Hashem? Ezo avodah shebelev zu Tfilah. What is avodah shebelev? It's davening, and the way to fulfill this mitzvah is through davening. So yes, later when they established it, it's corresponding. It fits the order and when to daven and so on. That's connected to Karban to Midin. But really, the main thing is because of Adam Masavah Lekechem. And he brings a very nice proof from Gmorah, Sukkah, Daf Nun Gimel and Aleph, source number 5, which many of us know it from Simchus Beis Sheva. Amar Rabbi Shiur ben Chananya, Rabbi Shiur ben Chananya said, Kishayinu smeichim b'simchas hasbeis hasheva, when we were celebrating, when we were joying in the joy of the Beis Hasheva, Le'reinu Shina Beinenu, we did not see any sleep in our eyes, meaning we did not sleep for the entire 7 days of Sukkot. Ketzad, he explained, Shari Shaina, the first hour of the day is Tamid Shel Shachar, was the Karban Tamid. So they brought the Karban Tamid. Misham, Tfilah. From there, you went to davening Shachar. So you see the daven. Let's finish the Gmorah. Misham the Karban Musaf. Then after davening, so the first hour of the day was the Karban. Then they davened. Misham the Karban Musaf. Then they went right to the Karban Musaf. Misham the Tfilah Samusafim. From there to davening Musaf. So you see again they davened all the tefillahs. Misham Libeis HaMedrash. Now, what are you going to do the rest of the day? From there they went to learn. Misham lechila v'shtia, from there to eating a little bit. Misham l'tfilah samincha, then the tfilah samincha. Misham l'tamid shabein abayim. You see again the daven, and then they brought the carbon tamid shabein abayim. And right after the carbon shabein abayim, we come v'ilach l'simchas beis ha'she'eva. Then they went on for the simchas she'eva, which went the whole night. So when I asked, is it indeed so? Just to finish up the Gmorah, it says Shvuah shalei ishin shlesh yamim malkin. I say if a person makes a shvuah that he won't sleep for 3 days, he gets lashed. Why? Right away, because it's impossible. It's impossible to something to keep. So how can you say that you're up for 8 days? And we didn't taste the sleep, the taste of sleep. We would fall asleep on each other's shoulders during the dancing. Meaning in the Bismadish, when they learned it was perfect, they were awake. But they fell asleep in the middle of dancing. And the Rebbe many times brought this by the Sichas of Simchas Be'Sheva, and the Rebbe demanded this from Chassidim to a whole day to learn, to do kinestatus, to go on Mitzvayim all day, and at night to sit in for brain and dance Simchas Be'Sheva. But in any case, what do you see here very clearly? The Chida argues, you see here clearly that even in the time when there is Karbanis, they daven.
Wow.
So that's why again he concludes that they would daven in these times, and it happens to be in the Galus as a side benefit because you don't have Karbanis. It's also because it's also in the time of it happens to be in the time of Karbanis, so it also replaces that part. Now, so this is all. So based on this, regarding our question, based on the Chida's way of learning, it's very clear. It's very clear. I mean, not very clear. It seems there's no reason to say that we shouldn't daven when Moshiach comes. But now let's focus. So, and this seems to be the conclusion that we would daven when Moshiach comes. But now there is still another question regarding Musaf. Why is Musaf different? Again, what is different than Musaf? So we mentioned earlier already. What's different than Musaf is because Musaf, the content of Musaf is all about the Kabbalah. Let's see a Teisus in Sechtes Brachos after. The Gmorah over there is discussing the halachas of hashlomas of davening. There's many halachas, complicated halachas, but there's a whole set of halachas and it has a relevance. If someone forgets to daven, Schechter, or was in a situation he couldn't daven Schechter, the halacha is that under certain circumstances he could daven mincha twice. He gets to daven mincha, under certain circumstances he could daven mincha twice. And what's interesting about these halachas is that even when it's from weekday to Shabbos and Shabbos to weekday, which we'll focus on in later. So Taisus Yisefes Bracha says like this. So that's what the Gmorah is discussing. So Taisus in source number 6, Loi boy, we're not asking a question in Tov is Pavel Tfilas Musaf. We're not asking a question if someone made a mistake and they're not daven Musaf. The Havadai Einay Mispalel Ba'arvis. He definitely cannot daven Musaf in Arvis in Banai. The Heich Yikra Sakarbanis. How can we read the Karbanis? V'kvar Ovar Zman Musaf. The halachas by Karbanis, by Karbanis there was no such thing as a shlomis. If you didn't bring a carbon, the halacha, there is a famous line, Ovar Zmanai Batul Karbanis. The time passed, the carbon goes over. Musaf has to be brought before an hour after Chatzos, before the 7th hour. And once that time passes, you can't do it. It makes no sense to say the Pesukim later. V'gam loy tiknu sheva brachas al Musaf, and they didn't establish either the 7 brachas of Musaf, right? Because the 7 brachas in the weekdays we have Shemona Esrei, 18 brachas, which is really 19 brachas because they added Bilam Moshinim. On Shabbos it's all 7 brachas, right? So they didn't establish the 7 brachas. So someone could say, you know what? I'll skip the Pesukim. But Elam Ishum Nushalma Parim Sefaseinu is only because the pasuk of Nushalma Parim Sefaseinu, which is brought a lot for davening, meaning will pay the parim, the oxen, the karbanos with Sefaseinu with her lips. That will replace the karbanos with her lips. And regarding this, for sure, once its time passed, the carbon is buckled. So meaning, because this entire musif is just for karbanos, you can't replace it. Avol shar tfilis, but regarding other tfilis, the rachmininu, that it's all about asking for rachm, asking for mercy, and the famous line, "V'halavai she's palad and koliyim kulay," and halavai person should daven all day long. The enkan of his man. And that's why you don't have the concept of over his mind if it's time passed with another davening, which we'll get back to later, explain this last time. But the point that the Tosis is saying here is musif is not something that you could replace, because the entire idea of musif is the fact that it is in place of the karbanos. And an interesting halacha actually comes out from this. An interesting halacha comes out from this. It's a machlekes actually, and I'm not saying this halacha. I'm just saying the concept of it is that the tzlach, which is also written by the Rabbi Yehuda, says from this you see that women are not obligated in musaf. Why is that? The halacha is like this. Normally, there's a rule that women, nashim peturis mitzvah seishes mangram, women are exempt from any time-bound mitzvah. Any mitzvah that is constricted to time, they're not obligated. We're learning out from Sukkim, we're not getting into that. So, based on that, really, they should not be obligated in davening. However, it says being the davening is just asking for rachmim, asking for mercy from Hashem. So then they are obligated because they also need the brachas, right? So the tzach says from this text you see that when it comes to musif, it falls back under the category of mitzvah seishes man grama, and they says very clearly that it's not tfilas rachmim. So that's why nashim should be potter, women should be potter. There are those that argue, and it's a lot of discussion back and forth in halacha, but the concept is clear. The concept is that you see that musaf is unique, and we see the halacha on source number 7. Not Rebbe passing like this in the Shulchan Aruch. Over kalayom lo yispal musaf ein lo tashlumin. If a person passes through the day and did not daven musaf, he has no way to make it up. Shehech yikra karbanos. How could you read karbanos v'kvar over his man musaf? And the Rebbe quotes this lashon again, which we won't go over, but it basically you see the halacha and we pass it. You don't have musaf again. So if that's the case, how come when it comes to musaf? How come when it comes to musaf do we indeed say? Do we indeed say that we will say it again when Moshiach comes? So there's an interesting answer that explains it follows. There's a sefer called I got the name of the sefer, Heretic. And the Heretic asks like this. He says that really, if you think about it, what do you mean that Tfilah is not a time of Rachman? That Musaf is not a time of Rachman? He brings two Gmorahs that say in the contrary, that Tfilah is the best time to daven. It says, the question is why on Shmini Atzeres, when we start asking for Geshem, we say that Tfilah is Geshem. When do we say it? Which Tfilah? By Musaf. Why? The Mendel says, She'ein daita shel Adam mis yashevas ella b'Musaf. A person's mind is not settled by Musaf. And in a different And another thing that we do special in Musaf is Kiyah Shofar Rosh Hashanah during Musaf, because Musaf is a very auspicious time. Musaf is the time when a person has a clear mind. I think with Pashas it means Pashas you're already through the avodah of davening and you're on a higher level. But also, because of this reason itself, because of what Tosfos says that Musaf is different, because Musaf is not just the side thing that happens to be also a carbon. Musaf is mamish a carbon. Musaf is like bringing a carbon. Musaf is the whole concept of Musaf is like bringing a carbon. So on the contrary, that's a reason to say that it's more of an Israel, that it's a more auspicious time, more time for asking Rachman. So what Tosfos is saying that it's not a time of Rachman? So it says very, very simple. Musaf is a very special time, is a time of that you could be pilot great things. And it's a great Israel. Tosfos is only saying the end of the day, the content of the psukim is all about psukim of Musaf. It's all about words of saying the carbon of Musaf that you can't do at night because it's the wrong time. It's like a joke. On the other hand, when you're davening, let's say weekday Shmonas especially, you're davening the Einav and Yeno, asking Hashem to bring the Geulah Shlema, right? Does that make a difference if it's 9 o'clock in the morning, or is it less relevant if it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 9 o'clock in the morning? That's not really time constructed. Yes, the Takanas Chazal is the davening should be in the times of Karbonis, and yes, it should be fitting to that. But the words that I'm saying make a lot of sense to say later in the day. Make a lot of sense to say the next day, the next week, because it's all about asking for brachas. On the other hand, when it comes to this special Musaf davening, with Musaf davening, the words are all about the actual carbon. That doesn't make sense to say later. So that's why. So that answers our question: how come does it seem? Do we see clearly in Gmorah Sukkah that in the time of the Beis Hamikdash they did daven Musaf, and why it seems that when Moshiach comes we will daven Musaf? It's because very simple. Musaf is a special time. Musaf is relevant always. The words don't make sense to say past this month. Now, there's one more explanation, which I'll say very briefly. There's a Gmorah in Brachos that says that there was a branch that says Shimon HaPekuli, name of a Tana, name of a Tzaddik. His Tishman Esri Brachos Lefnei Gavriel, I'll say the Biyad, that he organized the Brachos Shmonas in front of everyone. So the Gmorah asks, you see that comes from earlier sources, it comes from the Nevi'im, comes from Moshiach and Davening. What do we say? So the Gmorah says that it was forgotten, and he reminded them. So there's a Gmorah that says, in a few places actually, the Gmorah says that shikha, forgetting, is not relevant to something that you should do every day. Which is a very logical thing. If you say Shemona Esrei every day, what I forgot, what type of thing is that? It's something that you say in Berachos HaChamol could be something that you forget. Shemona Esrei, you can forget. So there are those that want to bring an ayah from here that in the time of the Beis Hamikdash they didn't say it. So that's why they used to say it, but then they stopped by the second Beis Hamikdash, and after the Churban they started again. But there's different answers to that, or arguments in that. I just wanted to bring the other tzad. Actually, one more point, which is more of a geshmaka inyan. The others that say that this, that it says in Gmorah Sukkah that we saw that they did daven, that was unique to Bayis Shein. Meaning like this, we see in the Psukim, we see in the Gemaras, that even during the times of the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni, they knew that there's going to be a Churban. They knew that it's not the Geulah Shlema. So then they didn't want to forget the davening. In other words, they knew that the day will come that they'll need a daven. So they kept on davening throughout the time of the Beis Hamikdash. Those that want to argue that Beis Hamikdash Shlisha will come, take it from Miyad, that will be Geulah Shlema. So then you don't have that svara. But that's just one svara. But it seems overall you could say that seemingly most of the sources seem to be saying that we will daven when Moshiach comes. And the only thing is, there are those that say that it won't. and what you have to say by Pashtus, what seemingly has to be that it will be a little bit different words. Doesn't make sense. But those that say that it will be completely different, it will go back to the way it was originally, that there weren't constricted times when to daven. Everyone davened when they were up to it. Which obviously nowadays won't really work, right? Because if we wait till we're up to it. But when Moshiach comes, it'll be at a much higher level, we'll be able to go back to that. But now we'll go to look at the Torah in source number 8. Now the Rebbe look at the Torah in this week's parsha explains why Beruchnius. Why is it really that we don't daven when there's a Beis Hamikdash? Even if practically do daven, what's the concept? Source number 8 of V'zeh Yuvan. This will be understood. Mashetiknu Tfilah bezman Churban Beis Hamikdash Dafka. Why the Tfilah was established in the time of the Churban Dafka. Ki bezman shebeis Hamikdash kayam, in the time that the Beis Hamikdash was standing, loyhoisa shlita umemshala laharasha b'klipus achma. The David ba'adan kolkach. There wasn't the ability in the klipus and sitcha achma to connect to the person so much. V'yespardu kol be'ali oven, and the all the activists of evil were separate. Avol bezman Churban Beis Hamikdash, in the time of the Churban Beis Hamikdash, eis asher shalach chulu. In the time that there is a ruling of the klippus and takberes hayetziv nefesh habamis, the strength of the yetzer hara and the animalistic soul. Tzarich lahafred the tefillah dafka, we have to separate it through davening. B'dishpei eish v'tzimayim v'takas lev kino. B'tiknu l'spal b'chol yom b'chol yom yitzah shel adam izgaber alav v'tarich lahisav oimitz. Why do you have to daven again every day? Because it's not a one-time thing. Every day it can get strength. What's what the Rebbe is saying here? So the Rebbe always explains in Tanayim and the Torah. We know according to Chassidus, what is davening about really? Davening is really about getting the nefesh habahamis not to interfere, or getting that actually embrace, getting the nefesh habahamis to serve Hashem. When is that relevant? Only in the time when the nefesh habahamis is in a state where its natural state is not to serve Hashem. Where the Yetzer Hara, the clippers are so strong that our natural state is not to serve Hashem. But in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when everyone was much more refined, when there was greater revelation of the Kos, then it wasn't so important davening. Similar to what it says by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it says Torah if a person that his profession is Torah is not mechuyev to daven, and seemingly he didn't daven every day. Because when it's such a refined level that your entire being is expressing Hashem's presence in this world, then you don't have to daven, because you're on that level already. You achieved it without davening. But we're in a situation now where we have to daven. We have to daven every single day, because constantly the Yetzer Hara is waking up, is fighting, and we have to fight the Yetzer Hara. That's why in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, and probably how much more so when Moshiach comes, the importance of davening according to Chassidus is not so important. So that's briefly an overview on this sukkah. Just one more point regarding the specifics of davening when Moshiach comes. This is the last page of our booklet. It's a Rishima from the Rebbe. The Rebbe concludes with a few different things that will be different when Moshiach comes. La'asad Levi, when Moshiach comes, Yiyu HaLevim Kehanim. The Levim will be Kehanim. But Kehanim Levim, and the Kehanim will be the Levims. Halacha K'Beishamah, Halacha will be like the Beishamah, as we see in right now we pass like the Tehillim. Moshiach comes, Halacha will be like the Beishamah. Now regarding our thing, Tfilah Shemana Esra B'Koil Ram. The Shemana Esra davening will be loud. Meaning, now we daven to ourselves always b'lachash. When Moshiach comes, we'll daven B'Koil Ram. Now, what's the idea of this? So, why do we daven b'lachash? Why do we daven quietly? There's two reasons given for why we daven quietly. One reason is because of if someone davens, it says in Gmorah, if someone davens loud, is miktane emona. Or it's for those who have very little emuna, meaning that it's as if he doesn't believe that Hashem can hear him if he davens quietly. In other words, Hashem can hear you even if you daven to yourself. Hashem can hear you no matter how you daven. One second. Oh, Hashem can hear you no matter how you daven, right? If you daven to yourself, even if you can't hear yourself, really, Hashem can hear you. So that's why if you're davening loud, it's as if Hashem can hear you without you davening loud. Hashem can hear you perfectly. Then, according to that reason, if you think about it, really that should be relevant even when Moshiach comes. But there's another reason given for it. Another reason is a person's davening to Hashem. If he has Averis, he wants to express his Averis, or at least he'll, by the parts of davening I talk about his Averis, will be with more broken heart. So not to embarrass, not to humiliate those who have Averis. Everyone says it quietly, like this. Everyone has opportunity to say whatever you want without any care. So that reason, when Moshiach comes, when Vesruach HaTumah Avim in the Oretz, there will be no spirit of Tumah, when everything will be Kedusha, there will be no Averis in the world. So that reason is not applicable. But the other reason of Kitane Emunah seemingly is applicable. So there's different answers given to it, but maybe we can say an answer based on what we learned earlier. We learned earlier that when Mashiach comes, all the brachas of prayer, of bakashas rachmim, of requests, will be transformed into praise. So now, when the Gmorah says, if someone says, it's in the Gmorah Schechter that we're learning these days, when someone says quietly, when someone says davening loud, is miktane emunah, it's as if Hashem can hear it. It seems very much as in the context of bakashas rachmim. You're asking Hashem, I need parnasa. So you're saying it loud because you're scared that Hashem can hear you. So then there's a chashash like that. But on the other hand, if someone's saying praise of Hashem, there's really a reason to say it loud. Because you're saying praise of Hashem, you want everyone to hear. That's less of a request, so that's why that could be a reason why you say Tfilah b'kol Ram Moshiach. That's an interesting thing, but a more simple reason is also why is Miktani Amana? Because you could daven low, you could daven to yourself. But if everyone davens out loud, and that's the regular norm, so then the harshness of this goes away already, because now we established that we're davening loud, so it's not so strong that you're davening loud. You're davening loud because that's halacha, not because of any other reason. Also, when Mashiach comes, there'll be no bad, so no one will entertain the thought that you're Miktani Amor. Everyone knows that Hashem's presence will be so strong. These little things, like, and davening loud, obviously Hashem can hear me. That's not even a question. Only in the time of the Hell and Hester do we have this issue. So maybe we'd be zeicher to find out very soon whether we're going to continue davening or not. With Moshiach Tzidkein and take it from Yad Mamash.
Amen. Shakach.